Hi, Della. I think you might be on mute. On mute.
You. Sorry about that. Hello and welcome to this evening's software demonstration. And hope you can hear me this time, having thought that I was here before. Welcome to Gareth from Xenon Connect, who is going to talk to us all about his bookkeeping software, and I'm happy to talk to you about how we use it as part of our MTD solution. So if you're struggling to get clients to keep their bookkeeping up to date, then give them a score and you will find out how many of them come back and ask you how they can improve their score. Now, I'm not a gamer, so this completely bypassed me until we started doing it. And they really do, Gareth. They come back and ask how they can get a higher score and go, oh, you need to keep your bookkeeping up to date and you need to do this and do that and the other. And it's really helpful in that respect, even before we're checking all the other stuff that you've intended it to do.
Yeah, sure. It's like gamifying, isn't it? It's just just adding a bit of intrigue to the whole process, really, isn't it?
Yeah, they're trying to turn it into a game rather than a chore.
Yeah.
I'm going to hand over to you, Gareth, and let you talk us through what we should be doing with it, how it really works. Because I only just use it for a few bits, but take us through what you do.
Thank you, Della, and thanks everybody for watching. Really appreciate the opportunity to come on and show you around Xenon Connect. So what I'll do, if we could just share the screen, if that's possible, Della, please. I'm not sure if it's going through at the moment. And I'll talk you through the software itself and how it may be useful for you within your own firm. Let's see if we can just share this. There we go. Thank you very much. So what you can hopefully see in front of you is a bookkeeping checklist. It's got a nice shiny health score on the left-hand side there. And I'm going to walk you through the checklist shortly, but I just want to quickly touch on what to think about as I'm going through this demo. I've just knocked up the slide before the demo here now, and essentially I was thinking about how accountants and bookkeepers in practice are using Xenon Connect currently. Now, Della mentioned the way in which she's using it in terms of the MTD and so on as well. But for me, it comes down to 6 main areas. The first is producing accurate bookkeeping. So if you are involved in the production of bookkeeping and making sure that's accurate, then potentially Xenon's for you. If you're involved in reviewing your team's bookkeeping, then potentially you'll see a value in using Xenon. Also for reviewing clients' bookkeeping. So as we touched on earlier, it can be really handy to have that quick way of triaging the data quality of clients' bookkeeping, which can come in all shapes and forms, can't it? Especially with MTD IT coming in as well. Maybe there'll be some clients there that have never had any sort of formal training in bookkeeping, and maybe there'll be different levels of quality coming through the door. If you want to show your value early in a relationship with the client, offering free bookkeeping health checks, we'll have a think as we're going through this how you could do that. But also creating accurate fee proposals based on data quality and transaction counts. Again, we've got tools that can help you with that. And then having the ability to reprice clients and fees quickly. If that's part of your role within your firm, then we have dashboards which will help you, first of all, look at who needs repricing, but then to produce a report to communicate what that needs to be changed to in terms of maybe fixed packages and so on. But I'll jump into the demo and have a think about all those 6 things as we go around it. So this data quality check here is the main control center of this one specific client called Dragon Retail Limited. It's a Xero client. We connect to Xero, QuickBooks Online, and FreeAgent, and soon we'll be connecting to Sage Cloud as well. This data quality check, you can select the period here on the left-hand side. We've got it set to the last 12 complete months, but you could change that to the financial year end. You could change it to a quarter end. And you'll see that when you change it, it instantly changes the health score and number of issues that have been found. So it's making it relevant to the period you want to review. Now, this is something that you can download as a PDF. So you've got access to your client's books. You've plugged Xenon into the client books. You can produce this report in a couple of clicks, as we just did then. Branded with your firm's logo. It's a 2-pager, clear explanation regarding what the problems are, all the opportunities with the bookkeeping as it stands. So if you're presenting this to a client early on in the relationship, then it's a great way of communicating what needs to be done with the bookkeeping, rather than just saying out loud and who's got the time to investigate in this level of detail when they first produce a quotation for a client. But it gives you that ability to triage the client straight away, but they get something out of it, don't they? They get this report to take away, but also it leads the conversation on to, okay, these are the problems. Who's going to fix them? Is it going to be you, the client, or is it going to be us, your accountant or bookkeeper? And then obviously that can then lead on to cost and your fee as well. But we'll jump back into the main software. The main primary aspect of Xenon is to be used by the internal bookkeeping or accounting firm. The idea is that the team member that's allocated to each client would go through the data check, and I'll just change the date period again to get some more data in. And they would run down the 24 different checks, if any items have been found in respect of each check. And they would either fix an issue by pushing back a correction direct to the ledger from within Xenon, or dismissing the item as a false positive. And when they've done one of those 2 things, then this total issue count will reduce by 1, and the health score will start to creep up. Now, it gamifies the bookkeeping review process, because when this issue count has been reduced to 0, because all items have been cleared or fixed, then this health score will be 100%. So it's a tangible target for you and your team to reach, to make sure you are closing off these 24 specific bookkeeping challenges that we have on a day-to-day basis. So hopefully, as you see, as we go through some of these checks, and I won't go through all 24 because I'm sure you've got better things to do this evening than have a look at software. You've probably been working all day as well. But I'll show you some of the core checks, some of the ones which perhaps we've had sort of great feedback from how useful they are. So I'll show you the value of what Xenon can help you with. The unreconciled bank check is a high-level count of the number of unprocessed bank items within the bookkeeping ledger. In this case, it's Dragon Retail Limited in Xero here. You've got deep links to say, click process. It opens up a new tab, that specific bank account in Xero, and it prompts the team member to then go ahead and review and process these items as normal. The next time you do a micro sync or a full sync, or does the automatic 24-hour sync, then this figure count here, these issues will reflect the new processed items or unprocessed items counts that remain here. So the idea is to make sure that the bank's been processed in a timely manner, and it measures whether it has been done for the period you're reviewing in terms of this health score and total issue count here. We have duplicate bill detection with the ability to push back corrections, for example, delete draft bills, or you can dismiss the match if it's not actually a duplicate. We have old outstanding items, so things like old unpaid invoices. Rather than manually reviewing the aged debtors reports all the time, or the aged creditors reports on the supplier side, this will tell you if there's any outstanding bills or invoices there with any amount due remaining on it. Same sorts of things for credit notes, purchase credits, sales credits. Sometimes it's hard to spot when there's credit remaining, isn't it? You have to manually review the summary reports and go down and have a look what's going on. This pulls out any credit notes older than X number of days old that have still got some credit remaining on them. So it just speeds up that process of finding these issues. And all these checks, you'll notice that we're not reinventing the wheel of what is a bookkeeping error and what's not. You've spent years training. You know what a bookkeeping error looks like. The idea behind Xenon is it speeds up that process of finding those issues. It saves you that manual work of reviewing repairs nominals, looking for capital items, for reviewing aged creditors, transactions for old outstanding items, and so on. The next one is opening balance differences. So for limited companies, Xenon Connect plugged into Companies House public API. It detects as soon as you submit a set of accounts to Companies House on behalf of your client. It pulls in the XBRL version of those accounts. It pulls out the net assets figure, which obviously ties in with the equity figure on the balance sheet. And it compares the net assets figure per the statutory accounts that have been filed with the net assets figure per the bookkeeping package at the same date. And if there's a difference, then what's happened? Well, maybe the client's logged in and they've posted some late transactions, which you could then review here, the most recently posted transactions that period or prior, which may have affected the balances. Or maybe there's an opening balance journal that somebody's not communicated when they've done the final accounts to the bookkeeping package, essentially. So it's a case of identifying every time it syncs whether the statutory account balance sheet matches the bookkeeping package's balance sheet on an ongoing basis. I'll jump down to bill or direct. Now, this is probably one of the most talked about checks that Xenon has. And it checks for the instance whereby you have a supplier, in this case it's Bob the Builder. There's an unpaid bill on the 1st of January for the purchase of bricks for £2,000. Great. When someone's posted the bank payment, instead of posting the bank payment to Bob against the bill, what they've done is they've posted it straight to the expense code as a spend item. They've cash coded it. They've circumvented the supplier ledger for whatever reason. Maybe it's the client logging in and helping out in inverted commas, but they've just put it straight to an expense code instead of against that unpaid or draft bill which exists on the ledger. And maybe it's just the case we cleared it off the reconciliation for now as a spend item because we didn't have the documentation. When that documentation inevitably turns up 6 months later by an automatic forwarding rule or something from the client, then it will create that duplicate instance at that point in time as well. So it'll detect the situation whereby that duplicate instance exists here on the ledger in terms of unpaid bill or draft bill for the same gross value for the same supplier versus a spend item. Okay, I'll just jump through a few more of these because we've just got another area to look at as well. We have those traditional period end tidy up jobs as well. So things like low cost fixed asset additions, looking for low value items under a certain threshold. In this case, it's £200 by default, but you can change that throughout the system. And you can make all these 24 checks more or less sensitive as you see fit for the specific client. But all of the settings come loaded automatically out of the box, ready for you to review if you want to. You can see here, we can push back this change. We found the £71 tabletop lamp. It's been posted to computer equipment additions for some reason on the balance sheet. Let's move that to profit and loss. So this pulls in the chart of accounts, this drop down, we start typing the account code. Let's move it to repairs and maintenance. Let's click save changes. When we click save changes, that will update the account code in Xero with that specific bill. And it will remove it from the list here. It will decrease this issue count and it will slightly increase that health score as well. We've got consistency checks, multi-account suppliers, which looks for the situation whereby you normally post transactions for a specific supplier against one code. In this case, you can see it's rent in this example. So this supplier provides rent to our client, but for whatever reason, someone's been inconsistent with this top item. They've posted it to a different account code. So therefore, it looks like it's probably incorrect because it tends to be that the nature of expenditure for each supplier is the same. Obviously, you might have something like Amazon whereby you've got 5 or 6 different account codes. In that case, you might want to ignore the contact so it doesn't keep showing false positives. But more often than not, this will be an issue. So it's a case of then going in and changing that item. We've got the same sort of thing for VAT codes. So each supplier will tend to have the same taxable nature, won't it, in terms of the purchases from each supplier. Obviously, there are exceptions to that rule. Maybe some are exempt, some are standard rated, and so on. But in this case, for Bill's computers, we normally claim back the VAT by looks of it. We can see this top item here, someone's put it as outside the scope. They've put it as no VAT, therefore it looks incorrect. Let's investigate that further. Now, this is a great example. If you are using Xenon to give away free health checks for prospects, and you quickly nip down to this check, multi-tax suppliers, and you find an instance with that prospect before the meeting potentially, whereby they normally claim back VAT on purchases for a supplier and they haven't done for one specific purchase for that same supplier, it's an easy win to show your value, isn't it? It's an easy way to get them to choose you and your services, because you can show how you will save them money essentially and make sure these errors aren't slipping through the net going forward. And the final one I'll jump through is duplicate contacts. This check here looks for the contact name for every single supplier and customer, and it compares it with every other single supplier and customer, and it says, well, actually, it looks like this is probably the same contact record. Disregards LTD and limited because sometimes they're used interchangeably or maybe omitted completely for whatever reason when entering the details into the ledger. But it also tells you, okay, this looks like it is duplicate, which is likely to be the active record you want to keep. Now, in the case of Jilly Accountant and Jilly Accountants here, we could probably just archive one of these, and that will archive it instantly within Xero in this case, and it will remove it from the list there. But this one here, we might want to go in and actually merge it into the one to retain that transactional history, and so keep it into Elegant Art Limited instead. And you can do all that within Xenon, or provide you with deep links to do it within the ledger if it can't be done based on the API. So in a nutshell, that's the main core of the system. I'll walk you through another area now as well, just very briefly. So Xenon Insight activity area. This is great for transaction counts for pricing purposes. If you ever thought, oh, I wish I could see how many transactions I had for this client with comparative periods as well, you've got that here within Xenon. You can choose up to 12 periods, whether they be quarters, months, or years. In this case, we're comparing 10 quarters ended end of June. It gives you the total transaction count, so items that have hit the ledger and unprocessed bank items as well. And it gives you a breakdown of all those transaction types there as well above. So you've really got granular data there that you can use. It gives you it in visual format. This is something that you can then produce as a PDF with your logo on by downloading it as well. So this can be client facing. For those conversations about repricing or the initial price, this really helps in those situations too. We've got bookkeeping complexity metrics because we know not every client is the same. How many active currencies are there in a period for that client? Is it multi-currency? It's going to take longer to do the bookkeeping, isn't it? How many bank accounts require reconciliation during the period? How many P&L codes require review? How many balance sheet codes have got control accounts that require review? How many customers and suppliers are active during the period? Now, for growing businesses, clients, these metrics, or some of them, will tend to increase over time. So it supports those pricing conversations when it's taking you longer to do the work. And we've also got these package reviews. You can set thresholds and bandings within Xenon that maybe mimic fixed packages that you have that are based on transaction count, or maybe turnover, or maybe bank activity, and so on. In this case, we've created a few dummy packages: dormant package, starter up to 100 transactions per month, intermediate up to 250 per month, and a growth 500 per month, and so on. So these are based on transaction counts. You can see in red for the periods whereby the client has gone over the threshold that they're currently paying you for, as we've specified that this client is currently paying for starter 100. We can see they've gone over that here. These are quarterly columns, so it's pro-rating up to 300 per month limit. But then you can show the client that visually. This orange line here shows you the limit of the package they're currently paying for in terms of the transaction count. If they go over that, it means they've gone outside of the scope in terms of transaction count, at least, of the package that you've agreed with them. Therefore, it's a great way to include that in the PDF to show them exactly why you have to increase their fee. It avoids that pushback and it builds that trust that you're essentially, you know what's going on, and you can convey that to them in terms of communicating the pricing. And finally, the very last thing I want to show you is the client panorama. We've got the total insight, which is 74 different metrics pulled in from the bookkeeping package and from Xenon, all in one place for all of your clients. So you could see, for example, VAT thresholds, director's loan account, is it overdrawn or in good health? Has a lock date been set for these clients using different bookkeeping packages, for example? And you've got other things like how many currencies are there and so on. It shows up here again at this global level. How many contacts are active? All the data quality counts as 24 bookkeeping checks we looked at in the main session. and also transaction counts. You've got that for all clients in one place. You've also got an overview of data quality, and this gets replicated on a weekly email by default to team members as well in respect of the clients they've got access to show them how up to date their bookkeeping is and the data quality as well. But then you've also got transaction counts and the ability to pull in those packages that we mentioned earlier, those bandings based on transaction count in this case. And you can clearly see when we toggle this on, which clients you need to reprice, because their transaction count for these specific periods going back in time to the left have gone over the current package they're paying for here. That's what's showing on the screen, is only the clients have gone over their current package in the most recent 3 periods. So it's a powerful way of speeding up the process of working out which clients need repricing, but then having the information to hand. When you hover over, you can see it gives a package name of what they should have been on during that period. So it avoids us leaving it to chance, those pricing increases. You can also set notifications to tell you when the client goes over their package they're currently on as well. So in a nutshell, that is what Xenon Connect does. The main core of the system is that data quality review. And for whatever purposes, if you have to think about how you could use this within your own firm, there's varying degrees. Maybe you've got an offshore firm working and helping a lot of the accounts prep for your bookkeeping work. Think about where this could sit in between you and the offshoring company to actually make sure they're fixing the errors before it comes to you for your final review. There's lots of opportunities for winning clients with it, and for also managing the internal team to make sure they know what's expected. Yeah, over to you, Della. Thanks very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. That's absolutely brilliant. And yeah, so everybody, I think, is going to be checking that they're charging the right amounts, and all the questions in the group about what should I be pricing, how many transactions, things like that. Somebody the other day was asking how long it would take for a certain number of transactions. Well, that's really good to check. And yes, the hints on the multi-tax suppliers, where we can pull something through immediately for to show how fabulous we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to present factual stuff to clients and prospective clients, and it's also useful, you know, for me where they do their own bookkeeping. When they get a low score consistently, it's the computer says, no, you have to get a proper bookkeeper.
Yeah, it avoids the sort of the emotion in that conversation. It's not you saying their bookkeeping's rubbish, it's saying these specific areas have got issues, who do you want to fix it? Because we can't do it because you're not paying us for bookkeeping. It avoids that grey area between where does the bookkeeping stop and where does the accounts prep start, doesn't it really? Absolutely.
And yeah, also remember, because I'm an accountant, we work with lots of bookkeepers. I am awful at passing over the year-end journal if they're not on Xero, because we use Xero tax, so that's all reflected in Xero. But on the QuickBooks or FreeAgent, I forget, and I get so embarrassed when they have to chase me for it.
Yeah. Well, you get a notification here, wouldn't you, from opening balance differences? It would tell you straight as soon as you submit them that same day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So lots for accountants, lots for bookkeepers, and it's really good. And we get our own free organization for ourselves to check our own bookkeeping. So
you do, yeah. So you get one free for life. So every accounting and bookkeeping firm can add a partner account and then connect one organization, so Xero, QuickBooks or FreeAgent of their choice for life, and it'll stay there forever, fully functional. And over and above that, the packages start at just £20 plus VAT per month for 5 organizations on top of the one free one. And the only metrics that change between these packages you can see on the screen are the number of organizations you can connect at any one point in time. You can remove them and add other ones whenever you want as well. And the number of team members. They're the only 2 things that change. It's fully functional for the starter package. So there's no sort of hidden things that you need to pay more for behind the scenes or based on number of transactions. It's all a fixed fee per organization, essentially. So this is £20 for 5 organizations at the starter level.
Anybody would think you're an accountant going for that low amount, the low risk thing. Because I don't know about you, but in the past I've been there. I see this fabulous software, and they want 99 clients on it effectively. And
it's when we built it, I thought, I want this priced as I would expect it to be within my own firm. So things like rolling subscription, if you cancel, that's it. You're not tied in for 12 months. Who wants to be tied into software for 12 months when they're not going to be using it? So it eliminates the risk. Obviously, the risk from the point of view of the bookkeeping accountant is just that they will waste 10 minutes of their time having a quick look around. That's as far as the risk goes. Other than that, you can use one organization for free for life to really try out the system.
Yeah, that's really good. So even if it's not right for you now, you can have a little look, keep tracking your own stuff, and then when you get the clients where it is, where you've sort of built up your own business, you've got some bigger clients or whatever, where it's really useful.
Yeah, I always say, sorry, go on.
Well, it's those insights, the overdrawn DLA. I've just had to send out all the P11D reminders, and that's the most common thing that you can see if they've got cars and have got an overdrawn DLA. Check in one go.
Yeah. And especially when you're not perhaps doing the bookkeeping for the clients, but somehow they expect you to have a magic wand whereby you can spot when they instantly post something to director's loan account, or it's gone overdrawn, or your corporation tax bill goes up, but you're not being paid to do the bookkeeping or management accounts. Well, to a certain degree, having that overview within Xenon to say, okay, these things are happening. If a quick glance throughout the year can maybe spot those things and help manage those expectations of the clients, at least in some respect.
Yeah, so how to look proactive when we're really just being reactive.
Yeah, well, yeah. So all firms can follow this process that's on screen now. And I always say that if you've not got the time to look into this now, it's not a problem. So I always recommend you can get this done in under a minute, literally, by completing the short form on that link there or scanning that in there, that QR code. I think it's 5 pieces of information. Complete that 20 seconds. Click on the link that comes through to you via email. Connect to one organization and just leave it syncing. And then maybe come back in a few days, or maybe wait for that first weekly email to say what the health score is. That will then prompt you to have a quick look about when you've got a bit of free time. Don't try and do it all at once if you're busy, if there's VAT returns coming up or year ends, for example. But it's getting that first organization connected. That's when people tend to see the value in how Xenon can potentially help in different ways throughout the practice.
Yeah, because I always recommend with new software, you use it yourself, then you put your biggest favorite client on there. And then once you've figured it out, and also have the process you'll use within your organization, then put a second one and then roll it further. Yeah,
definitely. I always recommend that people start with that one free one, but then maybe add the starter package. Don't jump into a 100 client license, for example, because you want to integrate it with team members gradually and make sure that everybody's aware of what's expected and how it works. So that 5 client license really helps out to get people started.
Yeah, that's right. And then a more personal question, because I've got a new employee starting on Wednesday. Is there any training on it?
Yep. So we've got webinars that are pre-recorded. We've got a whole documentation area. So for every single data check and every page within Xenon, there is a whole sort of document to support that. We've also got videos. We're about 65% through filming a full accreditation course for Xenon, which will be free of charge, obviously, to partners after that as well. But I suppose most importantly, if you've got any problems, just get in touch. There's a feedback and a support tab on every page on the right-hand side when you log in. Get in touch. We'll jump on the call straight away, or we'll run you through over a session for your team. We'll provide one-on-one and one-to-many for your team members to actually make sure they get off to the best start with it, certainly.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Gareth. Let me just see if we've got any other questions in the chat at all. So I've got multiple screens going here. So nothing at this point. So thank you so much for that. And of course, people can download their free trial and not their free trial, their own copy of it.
Yeah.
Figure out how they use it themselves, figure out how they use it with their clients, and get in touch with you and the team should they need it to. So thank you so much for giving up your evening. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody else now and end our stream.
Thank you.